One of the biggest culture shocks that I had when I moved to China wasn't the food, the language, or even the culture. It was realizing that people genuinely do not speak English. And I don't mean just random people on the street. I'm talking like hotels, restaurants, train stations, taxi drivers, even places where subconsciously I was thinking, surely someone here speaks English. China is the first and honestly the only country I've ever seen this in my life. So I was genuinely surprised, and I found myself wondering, how can one of the biggest countries in the world have so few English speakers? But after living there a while, I realized I'm asking the wrong question. The real question is not why don't they speak English? The real question is, why did I expect them to? So why is it that we expect English to be everywhere? Listen, we're all products of the world that we grew up in. So for me as an American, or even for me as a French person, English feels like it's everywhere. If you're from America or parts of Europe, you grow up seeing Hollywood. You're using Netflix and YouTube. English is everywhere. International business, scientific research, the internet, social media. Now, there's also some historical context that's important when it comes to why English is this big language. There's two big reasons. One is the British Empire, of course, which spread English to all the places that they basically colonized. And there's also the rise of the US after World War II as the world's dominant economy and also the world's dominant military force. America exported movies, songs, technology brands like Apple, Microsoft, universities, and even business culture. So in terms of the West, it makes sense that English is the language everyone learned for international communication. Of course, that does not mean that English became everyone's language. It's just the language that we tend to use between countries. Mandarin still has more native speakers than English. It really shouldn't be the default language. Growing up, I have to admit, yeah, I did kind of grow to expect a bit of English. Like most of the places I went to, they spoke a little bit of English. It just made sense. But when I moved to Taiwan and to China, those were the first two times that I came face to face with a situation where the world does not revolve around English speakers. So why don't more Chinese people speak English? Think about it, guys. China has a population of 1.4 billion people, and they have one of the world's largest domestic markets, which means they don't need to learn English. Most people there spend their entire lives speaking Chinese, going to school in Chinese, working in Chinese. Most of the businesses in China are serving Chinese customers. Most restaurants, most stores are all serving Chinese customers. So again, why would they be learning English? There's really no point. Tourism is important in China, yes, but it only makes up like 4 to 4.5% of the GDP. So it really doesn't depend on international visitors. You look at places like Thailand, tourism is 12.8% of their GDP. Maldives, 6.1%. Even Japan has 7.4%, which is more than China. So of course, those countries will have a stronger incentive for English because tourism is playing a large role in their economies and in their daily lives. But the key thing to realize is that China's economy is not built around international people. It's built around China and Chinese consumers. So why should the average taxi driver or hotel manager spend years perfecting their English if they rarely even need it? Unlike lots of countries, China is not and does not feel like a tourist attraction with people living inside of it. It's a country filled with people living their own lives. And I think sometimes tourists forget that. Now, I think when it comes to this issue, there's a difference between being confused and being entitled. There's nothing wrong with being confused, struggling to communicate, feeling lost when you get there. That's normal. In fact, that's part of the process and that's part of what makes it fun and beautiful. But there is something wrong if you go into the experience and you're expecting everyone else to solve your problems for you and to like cater to your needs. Growing up, I traveled quite a bit, to be honest, and my parents always taught me before every trip, learn to say hello, learn to say thank you, learn to say excuse me, learn to say where's the bathroom, like learn the basics in the language. Of course we did this for France, but I'm French, so I feel like that doesn't really count. But we also did this for Korea, for Japan, even for Hawaii. And it didn't matter if like we weren't pronouncing the words correctly and if we were completely making fools of ourselves in front of these people. What mattered was like making an effort to actually communicate with them in their own language. Because listen, you as a tourist are making the active decision to go to someone else's home. You're not asking them to enter your home. Which brings me to the biggest lesson that I've learned from traveling in China. If you choose to travel, you chose to be uncomfortable. You were the one who bought that plane ticket. You were the one who chose where you were going. Nobody forced you to do this, right? Like when I went to China, I was the one who chose to fly thousands of miles to go to school in Nanjing. This waiter did not choose for me to walk into his restaurant. So why is the expectation on him to spend years learning my language instead of me spending 15 minutes to learn how to say thank you? Of course, I speak Chinese, but just using this Paris as an example. Travel is not just about seeing landmarks, taking pictures, trying out exotic foods. It's about respecting and also learning about another culture. And that doesn't mean you have to agree with every aspect of that culture, of course. But you don't have to loudly criticize things, and don't expect things to work how they do, like at home. As the guest, you should be observing, you should be listening, and you should be being respectful, because you are entering their world. You are not recreating your own world within theirs. And I think this conversation is becoming more relevant than ever. For decades, America has had huge influence in the world. It was sort of the top global power. English spread globally, and it kind of made sense that people learned English. But today, the world is changing, whether we like it or not. China's growing. It's the second largest economy, and it'll probably be the first before we know it. It's leading in tons of industries, even high-tech industries. Companies like BYD, Huawei, Alibaba are some of the biggest in the world. They have increasing influence in technology. They're increasing to invest in other places throughout the world. More and more businesses are interacting directly with China. The main point being, English is still incredibly important, yes, but the assumption that everyone should naturally speak it makes less and less sense in today's world, especially when we're talking about China. That's when I realized, honestly, this video was never really about English. It wasn't about language. It wasn't about China. It wasn't even really about tourism, but it is about perspective. China showed me that the world does not exist to make me comfortable, and that travel is not valuable because everything is easy. In fact, travel is valuable because everything is hard, and it always reminds you that your way is not the only way. Travel allows you to be humble, it allows you to reflect on yourself, and it reminds you that you're not the center of the world. Your country is not the center of the world, no matter where you're from, and your language is not the center of the world. And that's a beautiful thing, because that's how you grow. So now, whenever I travel somewhere, I put myself in the clothes of a guest, and I don't ask for that country to become more like mine, and respecting the fact that everyone around me in that country is at home. So let me know what you think. Let me know if there's any other countries you guys have traveled to where English is not really a common skill. I think it's super interesting to see which countries are similar in that respect. Tell me if you agree. Do you think that we should all try to learn a local language before we travel somewhere? Because I guess maybe that is a bit extreme, but I've always thought it was the way to go. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys soon with a new video, and bye. Have a great day.
大家好，我是主播周玉琴。很多的朋友告诉我们，选择原版的太阳星全效克菲尔益生菌。它添加有羽衣甘蓝，健康再加分。而有睡眠困扰的朋友们，赶快选择蓝色包装这一款晚安加强版，绝对是更有感。每日克菲尔，时刻美好 ，Good Feel Good， 请上快点购为健康下单，而且要记得输入推荐代码，有额外的折扣优惠。太阳星全效克菲尔益生菌基础版、晚安加强版，新包装改版，内容不变，抽取更方便。要吃就吃最好的。